It's only then when you'll see the harm that illegal foreigners are causing us. They come here, no papers. They come here. So I'm saying to you, go to every restaurant in Cape Town, there's illegal foreigners working. Stop hiring illegal foreigners. Get somebody that's South African that you can vet, that you know if something is missing at your place, you'll know, you will help the police to find them.
Dear African brothers and sisters, we as South Africans have a problem. We have a problem because no matter how much we love you, no matter how much we embrace you when you come to our country, we are not going to be able to look away when one of our own, yourselves, you know criminals from your countries who come to South Africa, who do crimes that they, of course, they cannot do in their country. When South Africans and when South African authorities try to protect the rest of us, you call us xenophobic. I'm talking about Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, and Nigerians. You are unfair on us. You are driving this xenophobic narrative to protect yourselves when there isn't any, and you, so there are reasons why people hate you. One of the reasons is you want to look away when one of your own does something wrong. What South Africans, including myself, want to beg you is when one of your own does something wrong, stand out in your majority. Cast that person out. And I know there are other African people who do that. There are many people in Africa who always call out some of their own in South Africa to say, guys, why is it that whenever South Africans are trying to defend their countries, you call them xenophobic? And you want to tell us, but we have realized the things that you do in South Africa are wrong. There are many things that are wrong that you guys are doing in South Africa. Let me pause now, and I want you to listen to Gayton McKenzie, and then I'll come back.
Yesterday, they arrested the Mozambican that was he escaped from jail in Mozambique. He specializes in fortuners. They hijack, kill people that drive fortuners, and they move it to Mozambique. That's what he specializes in, fortuners. He was arrested in Sandton yesterday. Now, why am I mentioning that? A year ago, they arrested a security guard in Franschhoek that was responsible for the killing of hundreds of people, thousands of people in Rwanda. So many of you here called me xenophobic. I've embraced that. But here's the issue. This is the uncomfortable thing that you don't want to hear, but you're going to hear today. Illegal foreigners working in your houses, working in your businesses, you don't vet them. You leave them with your children, you don't know who they are. Some of them, are, when they're in jail in Ethiopia, when they get released from jail, they come to South Africa. When they're in jail in Zimbabwe, when they release, they come here. All illegal foreigners need to leave this country. You stand, you say, it's subtle racism. When you start saying stuff like, but Zimbabweans are hard workers, South Africans don't want to work. No, it's not about South Africans don't want to work. It is your racism that you are hiding, that you prefer a foreigner because they have no rights, they have no union, they have no recourse. I'm saying to you, illegal foreigners are the biggest problem facing us. And if somebody kills your brother, your sister, your mother, and they are not documented, It's only then when you'll see the harm that illegal foreigners are causing us. They come here, no papers. They come here. So I'm saying to you, go to every restaurant in Cape Town, there's illegal foreigners working. Stop hiring illegal foreigners. Get somebody that's South African that you can vet, that you know if something is missing at your place, you'll know, you will help the police to find them. Illegal foreigners should, if PEPFAR disappears, it's 70% of the HIV, the fight against HIV/AIDS budget. Illegal foreigners, in my opinion, should not even be getting medical attention in South Africa. It might sound inhumane, but you have medical aid, I have medical aid. The people that don't have medical aid must stand in the line, and there's 10 Zimbabweans ahead of him. The people that applies for housing must stand in the line because there's 300 Mozambicans on that same housing list. South Africans, I'm saying to you today, you guys are the captains of the industries. It's time for us to agree that 12% of our prisoners in jail are illegal foreigners. That can't be normal. So I'm still saying to you, Abahambe, they must go. Next year, when we start the campaign, we are coming to all the businesses, all your businesses that are hiring illegal foreigners, and we're going to give you South Africans to work there. Because you seem not to find South Africans that can work. We will bring you CVs of people that can work. Get rid of your illegal foreigners now, because next year is not going to be easy.
It's a huge, huge issue politically in the north. Is it starting to become as big an issue politically here?
Here's the issue. What you don't know is that the whole of Europe, all the illegal foreigners in Europe, all of them put together, it's half of the illegal foreigners we have in South Africa. That's a stat that you don't know. It is going to be an issue. Politicians that says today, no, illegal foreigners are welcome here. When the tide turns, they will say another issue. It's a big problem here. We're going to fight for it. It is becoming a political issue. Donald Trump was chosen president at the back of standing firm. Some of us has been fighting this issue. We are going to turn on the volume higher. We are not going to turn back. It is the biggest issue facing this country because South Africans will not continue to watch the majority of these people hiring illegal foreigners while they don't have jobs. Sooner or later, shit is going to break out. We must prevent that from breaking out. They've taken advantage of our country. It is time for them to go home. And most of you in this room are the enablers. You are the enablers. When there's xenophobic attacks, and we pray it doesn't happen, you played your role in that. Because this is South Africa for South Africans. And when you have illegal foreigners here, the governments in Africa, where they're coming from in the rest of Africa, they love sending the young males here because they know they're the ones that can topple them. They're the ones that can march against them. They're the ones that can protest against them. So they send their problems to South Africa. We have enough of our problems in South Africa. Those problems.
You see, Gayton says exactly what I've been saying. If you allow people like Gayton to have an excuse for Abahambe, then you only have yourselves to blame. What I'm saying is the same anger that you have against South Africa and South Africans, you must use it against your own country. Julius Malema has said, not for the first time, has said it many times. He has said, especially about Zimbabweans, take your energy, go and fight and win Zimbabwe back from Mnangagwa. The problem is, and I was told by Zimbabweans themselves, people of Shona descent do not want to topple Mnangagwa because it suits them to have a Shona president. And they say, and this is one of the reasons I would ask Rutendo if he gets here, and he doesn't like being questioned, by the way. I would ask Rutendo, say, Rutendo, I know tribalism is very difficult, but when someone does something wrong and the person is Shona, are you not going to call them out because they are Shona? Because this is the allegation they have against you. But if it's not true, then I would understand. But the problem I have is with South Africans is they do not know your internal politics in your country. All they know is the effect and how you being in South Africa affects them. It affects them in many ways. You know, when someone says, yeah, but there is crime in South Africa, it's not only Zimbabweans who do it. It's true. Do you know there's $1 billion trade between these countries of stealing buggies, vans, trucks? They steal it and they take it across the country and they operate as normal. Both governments know, both authorities know. South Africans go to the country and they would identify a car that is their own, and authorities in their countries, including Mozambique, the most common one, they say, I can see this is my car, but you cannot take it because it's no longer there. It's no longer in South Africa. And I want you to understand, would you not hate someone who does that to you? So xenophobia is a result of what you guys do when you are in South Africa and you want to claim. And I'm not saying there are South Africans who don't generally hate you. I'm saying you are contributing to it. Malema has said it many times that go back to your country, and this energy that you have to fight South Africans, you can go and do it in your own country. Number two, I speak about offering your cheap labor to disturb our market. So let me give you a clip where I was talking to a Pan-Africanist, because there's always a debate between Pan-Africanism and xenophobia. So let me show you. I was speaking to a Pan-Africanist and I wanted to understand this part, but this is just the video is too long for you to go and understand what his answer is. Just listen.
South Africa is this exceptional locality or location as compared to the other African societies. And Sobukwe was anti that South Africa's exceptionalism. He said, South Africa is an indivisible aspect of Africa. When you talk South Africa is not a different country to the African continent. It forms part of the African continent. Those were his politics, and therefore, by default, the person who is outside of the colonial borders of South Africa is no less of a human being than an African that is in South Africa. So his thinking always revolved around the strength of the unity of the Africans in eliminating white supremacy and its imperialism, and later what we are able to explain as neocolonialism.
In terms of examples and trying to manufacture history, a Bikoist and a Sobukweist would think Black consciousness, pride of Pan-Africanism, would ignore economic exclusion of South African in a market where cheap labor is king. What do I mean by that? I mean, because of exposure of hunger and hardships, there is a certain rate per hour in my head and in your head that you would think, no, this is downright slavery.
True.
Because you and I are exposed to better things. We are seeing better things, and we know what this thing is worth. And this we can regard you and I as, this is substandard, this is inhuman, you are just making me a slave. But someone who is poor, African and outside of our borders might think, okay, they don't want it. Not to me.
It's sufficient.
It's sufficient. Do you see now that in our Pan-Africanism, we are ibuela go taba ela ya people who sell out. When I debate African people, I tell them that when you come to South Africa, don't enslave yourself. But it doesn't make sense to them because they don't see it as slavery. Those people live in what you and I would call harsh conditions.
Abject poverty.
Yes, harsh conditions. Others are just happy to live in South Africa. They can work in farms and work in. I was in Komati Port yesterday, and I'm seeing Batsonga Bakaina across the way they work, the way they are treated. And whenever I go around, I would see Zimbabweans subjecting themselves to this thing. And it pains me to say, I don't want them to do this because they are missing the whole thing for us. You understand? Because there are a lot of jobs that South Africans really cannot work is because of our, I don't want to say consciousness. It's very difficult to tell. And this is why I'm saying, what would a Bikoist, what would someone who follows Robert Sobukwe think of this? Because it's a very difficult thing to tell these guys, don't take a job like this. Because you are messing up our industry. We've got a minimum wage in South Africa. You guys just work. Even if they're just working for food, they do work. They need protection of living in these farms. It's sad. It's very sad. But please, because it's separating South Africans as we speak.
One of the things I would like to talk quickly with the issue of Band Biko. In South Africa, there's this tendency of always stripping Ubiko and isolating him from Sobukwe. But he would then be made closer to the myth of Mandela. There's always that thinking. But we know that Biko was influenced by his big brother. His big brother was Kaya Biko. Kaya Biko was a member of the PAC.
So I think at the end I will include Julius Malema's response to this xenophobia. And by the way, and I think the EFF, the most difficult thing about the EFF is the way they approached illegal foreigners in South Africa. It is always seen as the negative. So EFF selling their message made it very difficult for other South Africans to understand them because they did not care in their delivery. We know what EFF means. They have no problem with legal South Africa, legal foreigners. But because they were seen to be sympathetic to them, all problems with foreigners is now attached to the EFF, unfairly so. But it's unfair, but EFF attracted it because of their nonchalant approach in maybe communicating this thing well. I would emphasize that Floyd would take his time to explain it, and those would take his time to explain it. And there are other commissars who would take their time to explain it. But because when Julius says it, he says it in a way that he doesn't care, and you say you can keep your vote, it has drawn people, and the adversaries of the EFF, they use it deliberately against EFF. So they unfairly attach everything that has to do with foreigners to Malema. Whenever there's something happens, so let the foreigners vote for you. In fact, when I spoke to Cassie first, the comrade even suggested that there's no way Julius Malema is loved. Those people who were filling those stadiums are actually foreigners. So no, of course I don't believe it. But it's just an example to show you that, by the way, South Africa is not the only country that is battling with foreigners. The US, they're battling, London is battling. And with London, it's very funny because they came to our shores, took our resources, they went back, they lock them in, and when we want to reverse it by going to them because we are driven by hunger, they were driven by hunger when they came to our continent. When we want to go there and they tell us, no, you are foreigner. But anyway, and I know there are other South Africans who use this excuse to say our Africanness allows our politicians and our business people to go to this foreign country, corrupt their leaders, take wealth, and come and make South Africa beautiful. And those people, because of hunger, they come here. And both of these arguments are actually correct. We've got political families who go to DRC. I've made many podcasts about that. Go and check. They've got families, South African politically connected families who make money in DRC mines. And our brothers go there and get taken out trying to defend that wealth. We know. And those people have to come to South Africa for better things. But all I'm saying is, it's the truth, but it does not absolve our African, because you are going to call us Afrophobic, even if we prove. And one of the best examples of proving this is Chidima. I do not understand. I do not understand. So, are you guys still blaming South Africans for the Chidima story? Make me understand this. Why do you blame Chidima? Because someone would say, yeah, she's not the only one. But if she is innocent, why doesn't she stay in the country and prove her innocence? Why is she running away? Is she feeding this stereotype that Nigerians are as corrupt as she is? Do you still blame South Africans for pointing her out? Now, I sat here with the lady who broke the story, Kwena Mulekwa. Instead, she pointed out her wrong, but you Africans are hating her. And when we ask you, why do you hate her? You say, because she single-handedly took out Chidima. But if Chidima is innocent, why doesn't Chidima go to court? She can't go to court. And Kwena always ask our Africans, why is it that whenever we speak about such, you want to subject us to look the other way, but we are looking at this one. You say, but what about? So yes, we'll deal with it. But here's the matter. Yes, there are white foreigners in Cape Town, but because there are white foreigners in Cape Town, of course, the Chidima story is a Cape Town story as well. So Kwena must not point out this one because there are other white foreigners. So what are you saying? Are you saying Kwena Mulekwa must not deal with the Chidima story because there are other white people? Be fair. Machine politically incorrect. Please tell me how you feel as an African. Type there. What solutions are we going to have? By the way, South Africa is going to be playing Rwanda and Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup in USA. What is interesting is South Africa has just become an enemy of Rwanda between the spat between Ramaphosa and so the Rwandanese were very happy about how this thing is going, and they've just created another country that is going to be hated by South Africans. I still insist, me personally, I still insist, as South Africans, we are wrong. And sorry for that, Mike. As South Africans, we are wrong. As South Africa, we are wrong. The way we treated Rwanda. Rwanda was taking care of their own, and I've made it in many podcasts. But that does not help relations between South Africans and Rwandanese. Nigeria has always been there. So just think about this beef between South Africa and Nigeria. I've got Nigerian acquaintances. So the best way of explaining this beef is Nigerians, and I want them to correct me, Nigerians are forcing South Africans to believe that they are not criminals. South African says, no, you are criminals. Here are the examples of you being criminals. And when South Africans list it, you say, we are not the only ones who see you as criminals. When you come to South Africa, here are the atrocities that you subject our country to. We are not the only one. All over the world, they treat you this way. It's because of your exports, the people you sent out to go and represent your country are in majority corrupt. But you hate it. You expect us not to tell you that. Because when we tell you that, you say we are xenophobic. Let's talk Africans. Let me stop it there and you tell me what you feel about it. And why do you blame South Africans for reacting and for protecting their country? Why do you blame South Africans for being patriotic? By the way, you do the same things in your own countries. Ghanaians and Nigerians, I mean, you are not the best of friends there. I don't know in South Africa, but you're not the best of friends. There are a lot of countries who do not like each other. I mean, DRC and Rwanda is an example. DRC and Uganda is the same example. But you expect us to love you. Machine political incorrect. Let me leave it at that. Thank you.